We've got Tom, who's been doing this for a number of years. Going back, I won't say how many, maybe beyond that. Vincent, more recent.
Vincent's been 10 years.
10 years, okay. And Luke, 10 years?
3 months.
3 months.
10 years, 3 months.
He's been the observer.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's knows.
Yeah. So we've got a great range of experience and skills and some unique approaches as well. So excited to have the team here and share it. It won't be a formal presentation per se. I don't know if you all know the term, I don't know where that accent came from, of mastermind, but it's an open discussion, an open forum. Feel free to jump in and ask questions, and we'll leave it that way, right? Rather than a bunch of PowerPoints. So I've got a couple here to get started.
I just want to interject with something. So the more involved you get, or whoever is watching our event, the more we engage. I find that just participation is huge. To me, when I first started doing this 2 decades ago, or whatever it was, doing these events, I didn't talk to anybody for a little door knocking. Like it's like a 5-minute presentation. Well, I realized after doing it, there are a lot of questions. So there is no dumb questions, even though we may laugh a little bit. That's because we probably experienced some of the things that you might be asking. We've had a lot of experience and sold a lot of houses. So we're not talking from the hip. We're talking from experience and getting results from what we're preaching.
Great. So first question, how do you guys pick an area to start throwing out there?
Well, I think it kind of depends on your how much doors you plan on knocking. And I always find you're back 4 times a year at the door. That's a good number. You don't want to be back every month, or you don't want to be back every second week. But if you're back at the same area or street 4 times a year, that is the size of the area. So as much as you'll be doing in 3 months, that's kind of your farm. You'll be back 4 times. So that's kind of how you pick the size of the area first. Then the area itself, I mean, I think it makes sense to go around kind of where your office is, where you're present already. And I always found the most important thing that you take an area that you personally find. Like I noticed this on myself that I perform much better when I'm in the neighborhood that I like and I appreciate and want to connect better to the people as well than if I'm somewhere where I'm just not gonna go again, right? And that's kind of how I pick my area. Now I'm mostly in Aurora, almost uniquely in Aurora, because that's about the size of the town allows me to basically pack every day 3 to 4 times a year. Sometimes I branch out a little bit because I find again, I've been doing this almost 10 years in the business, it's kind of 8 years in Aurora. It feels like I'm doing the same things. So often that it's almost like the palms over fish. So I'm going on to New York a little bit, schooling a little bit, but that's kind of how I would take my area.
So would you say if you're pick an area you don't like because you're working, you're getting the kinks out at the beginning?
No.
If you're new,
Some practice.
so I'm new. I went to literally the place where I grew up. I went to Glenlake. And the amount of people I still knew, and even though my script sucked because I hadn't memorized everything or whatever, the amount of good conversations I could have because I knew like 25% of the people was insane. Once you get those first 3 lines of your script, the conversation is going to divulge into like, oh yeah, Jerry still lives at X, Y, and Z, and like, just go. It's actually best to go work out the kinks with the people you know the best because they're not going to judge you if you sitting there flubbing your words. That's what I found. But also to add on how you pick your location. For sale on Georgian Bay there's these giant maps. If you Google town of Barrie, town of Newmarket, town of Bradford, you'll find literally like section 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pre-made for you. And that's what you guys use for decades. But now there's even more modern ones. And you print out the paper, and as you go through each section, you highlight the streets and this stuff. And it's kind of like a game. I can't do it without it, but I appreciate highlighting.
There's like a reward at the end of the
Yeah,
3 hours.
I wish I could pull it up
You get
because
back and you can just highlight
Sorry,
what
what
you've done, check it
I
out.
have it just for questions.
it's okay if I pull it up.
So
when we go into that
I just
next
want to
thing.
back up a little bit while you're looking for that. I think you need to start though, before you pick where you're gonna go, how many doors you're gonna do. Because that's important. And I'm gonna sort of override Vincent a little bit to say, I always wanted to do, and Vincent does a ton of doors, but I always wanted to go big or go home. So my area is, I didn't care if I didn't go back any more than once or twice a year. I did Newmarket and Aurora throughout over just a 1 year period. That was kind of my attitude. I actually started off even in Bradford. And then as I built a team and did what we did, everybody was out there, so it was all getting covered. But initially it was like, my attitude was, I'm going to be Newmarket, Bradford, and Aurora. So, but my attitude was, I'm not doing 50 doors a week, or 50 doors a day. Like I started out small with the number of doors that built it up to a certain level. So I think that's what you need to decide, how many doors you're gonna do. And then backtrack from there, because then you can determine how much of the town you want to do. And like Vincent said, I know that, for example, Vincent loves high end. He loves the elite. He loves, I don't know.
I'll like anything.
For me, I was like the average guy. I was like I was more the mid-range guy. So for me, the high end actually intimidated me a little bit. I don't know why I did, but it just made me feel not comfortable. So even though I did them, I felt more comfortable at the middle of the range pocket of areas. The only thing I took off, and Luke is trying to show you maybe, oh, that's the new map.
That's fair.
But when I broke down what we did, I knew there was pockets that were rentals. I didn't door knock those because I wasn't looking for buyers. I was looking for listings. So I deleted, we had 2 areas in Newmarket that were all rentals or 80% rentals. I didn't do those.
Yeah, that's a good point. The demographic matters a little bit as well. So we have, in my area, a lot of new developments that are just uniquely Chinese.
Yeah.
And mostly investors too. So they're either rented out, vacant, or some Chinese person would say, or what's probably most likely work with a Chinese engineer. So I'm not going to waste my time there. I kind of stick to what my demographic is, where I connect and get the results. I'm not saying I wouldn't want to have business with people. It's just naturally they tend to work with other regions, and I'm not going to try to change that. So that's another fact that you consider. Yeah, the rentals make some sense because when you're not going to have the doors, we most likely need by and not going over 200,000 doors on track every single contact. So it's 23%. So 100 doors equals 23 contacts. And if 10, 12 of them are renters, then you kind of like, again, then the contact is all 23, and it's like 12, 10.
Did you find your map? You want to
I mean, yeah, I mean, you can do this for every town pretty much. I don't know why I couldn't find Bradford.
Yeah, it's a big thing.
It's just wards.
Figure
like-
out where you want to go, okay? Look at the map. And we did this before, this kind of stuff was in, we just had little paper maps of the zone, and like these guys will tell you, we pretty much worked with them the whole time, and the zones were created just out of areas that I knew off by heart, not because they were given any names.
It's nice though, because it literally does feel like you're completing a puzzle as you go.
One other thing too, as you build your database, where it's really crucial, now, Luke's got and I don't know if Vincent does, but when you go out and contact your people, you're doing these contacts and looking for new leads, you're stumbling across old leads you already have in the database. It's really important you're aware of who they are, at least their name, their address, and a phone number. And if you can get an email in there too. So back in my day, I'd walk around with paper. And guess what? You're not going to walk around with a whole town of Newmarket's paper. So by breaking them down in zones allowed me to only have to have my assistant pull me zone 1, all the database that has in there. So if I stumble across Bob and Betty Brown at 123 Main Street and they're not home, or if they're home, I can say, hey, Bob, hi, Betty, how are you? And at the same time, updating information to make sure I've got that. So that's another contact that if they're in, you're updating your information and getting any new vibes on what's going on. If they're not in, you're leaving a little note saying, hi, Bob and Betty, sorry I missed you. And then at the end of the day, and if you carry your database with you as I think
That's what
Luke does now,
I'm gonna
Okay.
show people.
as
how I
Luke
do
does
that.
now, you update in there that you door knocked and left them a note. Because you'd be surprised. These people call you back and go, hey, Tom, you were at my door the other day. I can't believe it was, I'm sorry I missed you. You know, like I didn't ask them to call me. They just called back to say. So when you're doing your calls on your lead follow-up, you've got a note, oh yeah, I was at there 2 weeks ago or a month ago or whatever it was. And it's right in the system that you door knocked it, whether they were home or not home. And if they were home, talk to Betty. Everything's going great. Bob broke his leg last week. It's really been in rough shape, but things are going along pretty good. You know what I mean? So you just, those little footnotes you want to put in as you're doing a regular call, you've got them in the database.
How
Really
many-
important.
How many people are using command? How many people are using a different thing? You, what are you using?
Monday,
It's called Monday?
Monday.com.
Is there an app? Okay. So basically now when I go out, I have a stack. So that's the stack. I keep them in bundles of 50. Vincent knows. I used to have like that big leather book with like pages and you fill it out. So I was like, this is just insane. I feel like I'm intimidating people at the door. Like if you see someone with that big book, and actually you had mentioned that, it almost like intimidates them to think you're a salesman. So I transitioned to only carrying my phone and 2 stacks of 50 cards. And I literally show up to the door like this now. So if you have the command app, you can hit this plus button down here and then add contact. And now I literally just add them straight into here, fill out their information. And the best part is, if like my dad said, having notes is crucial. When I walk away, I can hit the description and do a little voice like, Debbie, she's a mother of 2. Her daughter is going to school at X, Y, and Z. Her son is in high school and they're thinking about upsizing in 2 years, maybe 4. And, you know, I create the note in 4 seconds rather than sitting there writing out this long note. And then I also tag everything instantly. So say I'm in, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Newmarket, but if I'm in Newmarket, I'll literally tag it. Let me just double check what my tags are. 1 sec. Abby Kell. Okay, yeah. I'll say, so she's 2 to 10 years out, which is huge, but that's just one of the tags. Harewood Boulevard. So now if I go door knocking a year from now on Harewood Boulevard, she's going to come up. And yeah, and then I say LM door knocking. So Bradford's a little bit different because Bradford doesn't have sections like Berrywood or Newmarket. So I say like Bradford Zone 1 or Bradford Zone 2, and then their street name. Because we also send information to these people based on whatever zone they're in. We keep them up to date on what's sold in that area quarterly. So just creating those tags now is very important because a year or 2 from now, when you built up 350 people, going back and doing it, you're gonna, holy shit, why didn't I just do it back then? Like, it's gonna be overloaded. And this is an easy way now, like my dad was saying, to keep track of, okay, I've knocked this area. These certain people are gonna be at this address. And it's even gonna make it easier because the night before, you could, I don't know, create cards for these people that are already in your database and leave them something special, you know? So that's just a little things I've started implementing. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not a real estate agent, but I'm just curious because I'd like to pick up your strategies too. So if you tag them based on the street, do you then, in terms of a follow-up, so let's say you do quarterly in-persons, like you guys mentioned, right, once every 3 months, would you then also do like local community events like in that street, or do some type of electronic follow-up with them as well? Like, oh, I was here on your street this day, or I'll be swinging by this long weekend in case if I miss you, you know, here's my number.
No.
But in a way, there no event, but we have a thing called 52 touch. So there's a series of touches going on with these people, whether it be a phone call, an email, or just a monthly newsletter that goes out or whatever.
Yeah, like-
So there's all kinds of contact being made.
It's never like
Not
we're gonna
necessarily
be
an
yeah.
event what you're trying to describe. We don't have any parties or dances. We, as the group though, the Mitchell team did have a filmed, movie day to our past clients. That's a little different than what we're trying to get across for today.
Just going back to the CRM, you were doing the reporting. What CRM product were you using again for that?
Command, but we have 3 databases. I use Command, Follow Up Boss, and Wise Agent. So it's a nightmare. So
Okay, don't confuse me.
anyways,
Don't confuse me.
Command.
On demand,
It
command.
doesn't matter what you use.
Yeah,
The best database. the one
That's a
you're
side
using.
issue.
And I think the point is
What-
like,
the-
you keep your database with you while you're door knocking.
If you have
So
multiple,
you can like filter by street, so let's say I'm on whatever street, I'll enter the street.
Do you have yours on
boom,
your phone?
And it shows me every lead there, so I know when I go back to the
No.
doors. Because the funny thing is like, once you have a certain amount of people in your database, they will remember you. They go, oh, hey, how are you doing? Well, now you have no idea who these people
Oh,
are. But
yeah.
if you're prepared to say, okay, Betty and Bob, and last conversation you had, they went to Greece or something, so you can pick up that conversation at the door again, and they can.
keeping notes is so vital. That's why on paper, my writing is terrible and I couldn't get enough notes out.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I have to transition. Now my notes are essays. And when I talk to
I
these
like
people,
what these guys are doing. I never did that. I did write them. Remember, we're out door knocking in the winter times, rain and whatever, and it gets blurred. There's all kinds of problems that what they're doing is excellent progress on how to keep track of stuff. However, at the end of the day, let's backtrack a little bit more. The whole idea of what we want you to think about for lead generating is to create a leverage business, to be able to do things. And think about it. I've done this for 2-3 decades. And why did I do it? Because I didn't want to do some of the mundane things in real estate that prevented me from doing what I should be doing in real estate. We get caught up. So it's really important. If you don't have a schedule, you create a schedule. Let's start there. And then once you've got your schedule created, your lead generating better be in there at some point during the day. I would encourage you to have it first thing in the day, because it's the prime time to get it done and get it over with. And then figure out the number of doors you're going to do on a weekly basis, a monthly basis. Just to give you an example, my day was, it started out at 50 doors. It's like, it started out at that, just to say, I gotta walk before I run. And I just did that 5 days a week. And then it went to, okay, I'm going to push myself. I jumped up to 75. Then I jumped it up to 100. At one point I was doing 250 doors. However, I did that a day. I did that because my goal was a weekly goal of 1,000 a week. And I said, you know what? Sorry, I was doing 200 doors a day, 5 times a week. I can't do this 5 days a week. There's no way I can do this on a continual basis. Life gets in the way, family gets in the way, clients get in the way, all kinds of things are there. And the weather gets in the way, okay? So I'm gonna cut it down to a 4-day cycle. And my goal was 1,000 doors a week, 4-day cycle, which meant 250 doors a day. That was the top end of number of doors I did, okay? That lasted about 6 months, and I go, okay, I can't keep doing this up. It's too many doors. I cut it back to 200. In the last 10 years, it's been about 150, 4 times a week. But it's autopilot. It's just because it's such an opportunity to go out there and meet people. It's just an opportunity to make money and get them healthy. And there's little cost involved to it that if you're not doing something to lead generating for 2, 3, 4 hours a day, depending on what stage you're at in your career, you're missing an opportunity that you should be doing.
just to be clear though, 250 doors, that usually takes me 35 to 40 doors an hour. So, and that's on a good day because I like to chat. And especially with people I can feel there's something I could have a connection with and do like a big time transaction with, both buy and sell. I'll stay there and talk to them for 35, 40 minutes. Like, and sometimes that's 2 or 3 times. So I'm more in the ballpark of like, I go out for my 3 hours and get it done. Sometimes I get 150 done. Sometimes I get 75 done. But usually like my contact rate is insane. I was showing Brendan actually. It's like in Bradford, some days I'll go out, do 75 doors and get 39, 38 contacts. And then like 4 or 5 emails and phone numbers. So it's, my dad was a lot more like, are you buying or selling in 1 to 2 years? If no, I'm going to the next. Me, I'm just going for the information. I'm just casting a wide net and getting as many people in as I can and building up so that when I go back around in a year from now, I have more people that can say, oh, hey, how's it going? Because I have more people in there from that initial walkthrough yet.
Good question for all three of you. How much, if any, prep do you do before you go into your zone? Like, I mean, if you knock on the door and there's a house that's sold, are you gonna know that information?
You know what? That's a great question. You want to do as minimal as possible. Okay, because here's what will happen. I go out and have these discussions and these meetings with these people, and I keep hearing how they're preparing to prepare to get ready. No, get out there and do it. Get out there and do it. And think about it. I haven't showed properties for 20 years, and I could still have conversations with people over the areas because I had a general idea. I'm not saying to be a buffoon like I was and totally naive to necessarily what's going on. I'm saying it's more important to get out there and meet people and get leads. And then if it's really intense, phone them back.
Well, plus you get so much with technology these days, you don't need to prepare anymore. Like you really get out of your car, you open house Sigma, 30 days back, 90 days back, zoom in, okay, this is sold. Walk around, you look it up.
And
You got plenty of time when you can door to door. Like you wouldn't believe the amount of work I'm actually doing while I'm door knocking.
good
right?
conversations. Too.
Sending out listings and answering emails and this between the door and the door is like it's that time. So you're gonna use it somewhere.
You mentioned early in the day, but I was thinking time of the day when most people are home, but that'd be the evening, which I know is not the time you want to go, but is there a certain day that?
Here's the thing. I've done everything. Door knock, cold phones, whatever. Vincent said his ratio was 27%. The overall average is about 30% of people that are going to be home. Doesn't matter what time of day. The only time that might increase will be the dinner hour. And guess what? Your energy levels at its lowest. You're busy trying to do a listing appointments or whatever during somewhere in that time frame, and they don't want to talk to you during that time. They're busy running around with their kids and their family and doing whatever. They don't want to talk to you. So the only reason we say to you, get it done first thing in the morning, it's a love-hate thing. If you ever did running or exercise or whatever, you don't look forward to being able to do it and whatever. It's something you know you should do. You get it done, get it over with.
Yeah, like I know guys who go door knocking. They're like, oh, I'm going to go 200 doors today, and they go at like 3:00, and I go, so you're going to be home
That
at
might last for a
7:30,
week.
and they're so
It might last
they're
a
not
week,
consistent.
and then after
at all.
that, they give up.
The
Or
more your time start going all over the place, the more likely it is you're just not going to do consistently.
and that rolls you back to a schedule. You
Yeah.
do yours first thing in the morning, right?
Yeah, consistently, but I've also done full days, like 8-hour shifts. And they're very rare, but that I can tell you exactly how it goes. Between 9 o'clock and 10:30 in the morning is when you get the most people home during the day. After 10:30, it drops a little bit till 12, and after 12, you're like in a dead zone. So between 12 and 2, 3 o'clock, it's very, very quiet. It's very people have they're out running errands, doctors, whatever, right? After 3 o'clock, it picks up a bit, but the problem then is like you have the kids back home from school. So who opens the doors? Always the kid opens the door. Then you ask the kid if the parents are home, and they're like, "Mom!" And you're sitting at the door. Mom's upstairs at the computer. Who is it? I don't know. You're waiting. Takes a minute and a half, so mom's finally down. I wanted to ask her if she had any plans to move or sell a house. No, okay, on you go. So you wasted 2 minutes at the door just to get an answer, and usually it'll take you 30 seconds. So you lose a lot of time. After 5 o'clock, that's when you get the most people home. But like Tom said, that's when you should be in appointments. That's when you do showings. For me, I barely ever work after 5 o'clock. I'm like 9 to 5, and then it's family time, it's baseball, God knows what. But yeah, if you want to reach most people, go out 5 to 7. Are you getting your best results then? I'm not sure, because people probably don't want to talk about real estate this time of day. So what the second best time is 9 o'clock till 10:30.
But also, it's like 5 to 7. You're just exhausted.
That's the other
Really,
thing.
right?
Energy's
Your
down.
energy level.
Real
This is-
estate is a
this-
very talk-heavy business, and if you're talking all day and then you have to go knock doors for 2 or 3 hours, you're already drained. Like especially when Vincent and I, when we get back from door knocking, we literally look like we just ran a marathon. We're like just white. But that's just the reality. You talk to so many people, the mental strength to talk to like 35 people in a 3-hour span. And I always tell people, like, I'm the most malleable person you'll ever meet at your front door. If you're liberal, I'm liberal. If you're conservative, I'm conservative. Whatever it is, but it's just like, that's just the person I am. I could talk to anyone and it just flows. But that's a lot of like mental shifting as the day goes on, it becomes heavier and heavier. And I can't imagine the mental capacity it would take to do 5 to 7 p.m. every week. End of your day, you have to go out and door knock. Like,
Yeah, we'll do it
I-
once maybe if you want to do like, you want to do
Circle
specific,
prospecting
like,
or-
you want to promote a neighbor open house, or you really want to meet as many people as possible, but on a day-to-day basis, it's not going to work for you. And also it's nice to, like I said, it's a physical work too, because you're walking about 10 kilometers in 3 hours, and you talk to other people. So when you get back to the office at noon, it's actually nice being in the office and sit down and make calls.
What do you
'cause
do? You
that's-
do follow-up.
That's your next step, right? So you lead generate, now it's time for me to follow up. Now, I never really liked calling people. I much rather door knock 10 hours a day, but again, you gotta do this as well. But after 3 hours, I'm actually enjoying just sitting down in my office chair and picking up the phone. So that's another factor why for me the morning is just the best time to do that.
We don't want to blow you out of the water with these numbers and tired and whatever. Look at it this way. This is a long game. This isn't a short game. We're not here to give you a magic pill. Trust me, we sold over 4,000 homes, the Mitchell team. And at the end of the day, we've had a lot of highs and lows through those real estate career. It's always never the perfect scenario. Someone's always doing something better or worse than you might be or should be. And you're out there doing all this lead generating and thinking that you should get a big one-hit wonder. It doesn't happen that way. It's a long game. And if you think that you're going to hear us talk and you're going to walk out of here and in 2 weeks, you're going to go out and get lots of business, well, if you do, you're better than we are.
I'm a good example. I've been doing it 3.5 months, knocked 5,000 doors and haven't done a deal.
You're better than we are. And at the end of the day, that's great. And you may be. But for the average person, I want to understand that it's an endurance test, because here's what happens. I hear this from Luke all the time. Pat, you know what? Are you sure I should be doing this? I said, Luke. He goes, you got everybody trained in Newmarket and whatever, they should be doing this. They're out there doing it. Guess what? There's no longevity. Nobody endures the long game. They're one-hit wonders. They do it short term. And you may experience people out there doing it and they last 2, 3 weeks, 2 months or whatever, and that's it. We want you to be consistent, persistent, long game. And remember, the last 15 years of our career, my career, I didn't need to do this. Okay, we had a team, all kinds of business, referral, repeat business coming through the doors, teams out there doing stuff. But I like to lead by example. That's why I kept doing it. And second of all, I'd make $250,000 easy a year just by continuing to do what I did. Okay, just easy. And it's healthy. And going to go back to the schedule. Once you establish the number of doors, I'm sort of jumping over the place, but there's a lot of things that really I want you to think about and understand. The reason we want you to put a number of doors there is because along the way, when life gets in the way, and if you choose to do it in the afternoon or whatever, who cares? Just do it. Well, there'd be days, for example, you might have to go to a charity golf tournament, and then it starts at 11, and you're not going to get all your doors in. Well, you have to decide, am I going to do an extra 25 doors for the 4 days? Or am I going to do them on Friday? That's where that 1 day of glue comes in, that you can play with the numbers to make sure you get your weekly total in. And I was committed to that my whole career.
Let me add something, and I'm glad you brought that up about, again, it's one-hit wonder, longevity, or, so yesterday I went back, I went through all my past 30 listings that I've had in past years. And I looked when I listed the house, and I went into the database to see when did I meet that person. What do you guys think is the average time from meeting the lead at the door until they listed it? I'm only looking at listings. I didn't factor in buy deals or anything. It was strictly just like listings I've had from meeting until listed. Exactly, 37.5 months. That seems like awfully long and a little depressing too. If you're just starting and you feel like, wow, I'm going to meet people, and it's going to take me 3 years to get my, I mean, that's an average, right? There's people in there I met 5, 6 years ago and kept in touch, and at some point it comes, they sell. There's people that I met a month and a month later, I sold the house. In my first year, I was able to generate business. I didn't have to wait 3 years, obviously. It still took me 6 months to get my first listing. So again, there is no shortcut. But if you're doing it every day, you never know where that business is coming from. And I can guarantee you that business will come from somewhere. Because again, the more you're out there, I would say I love fishing. I compare to fishing. The more time you spend on the water, the more time you cast your bait, the more fish you'll catch.
And that's where you want to build your numbers up to get
And
them
sometimes
aggressive,
you're out for
because it does take numbers to make these numbers work.
Yeah, you can be out in the water for half an hour, you catch a big fish. You can be out for 6 hours, you catch nothing. That's still nothing. There's days where I get 0, and then all of a sudden I get 4 amazing leads. They all want to sell in the next 6 months. They might not, but again, it's the consistency that pays. And it's important that you set yourself a realistic schedule. I think I've taken out probably 120 agents over the past 10 years, door knocking with me. And some are fantastic. But most of them, I only know 2 that actually stuck with, are still doing it. That's very, most of them get excited, they go out, they start, and then at some point they get discouraged and drop.
Or they get busy and they've got business and they think they're God's gift of whatever they need to do, and they stop doing it. And next thing you know, 6 months after that, they go, oh my God, it stopped again.
Or
It's an ongoing
or
process.
3 years later. So for me, my biggest year in real estate was 2021. And the only reason that is because 2019, I hit the most doors ever, which is 32,000 doors. Now, my worst year in 10 years real estate is actually this year. The reason why is if I look back 3 years back, it was 2021, it was COVID, I did not go to the doors, and I only knocked 5,000 doors that year. When usually I knock between 25,000 and 30,000 doors. So I'm now paying the price from the not work I did 3 years ago.
That along with the market.
And the market, of course, factors in as well. But yeah, 2020, I only door knocked 13,000 doors. 2023 wasn't a great year. 2021, I only knocked 5,000 doors. 2024 has been brutal so far.
So here's something.
2021, massive year. If I go 3 years back, that was my biggest door knocking year. So that it shows up, and it shows up 2-3 years later.
Here's something that ties in what Vincent said a little bit earlier about what he was talking about, a few things there. It's not immediate gratification, and getting leads is not immediate gratification. You may go out one day and get nothing, and you may go another day and get 3 or 4. But the biggest thing that all the years I've done this is when someone says yes. And Luke's just left, but he keeps trying to tweak my script, and Vincent's modified the script that's there. It's really a simple script that I use, and I'm looking for someone who's going to move in the next year to 2 years. But when someone in my first question says to me, yes, I don't know what to do. I'm used to no, and creating questions to find out more about them feeling comfortable with me to maybe open up a bit. So when they say yes initially, it's like,
Yeah,
I'm like, it throws you back.
You're not
It's
used,
like,
you're not used to
you're
it.
not used to it, because 99% of them say no
Of course.
to, are you thinking about moving over the next 3 to 6 months? It's just the way it is. So be prepared for that.
So do you send out postcards as well, or just?
We did, but I don't think Vincent does at this point.
You're talking about postcards, right? Because in person.
Well, that's in person, but then we do, so every lead that gets into the database gets at least 12 newsletters as well. They get twice a year a calendar, Maple Leafs, going to Blue Jays. Yeah, I counted it, it's about, I think I'm somewhere around 28 to 32 touches in a week.
Those are for the leads, right?
Yes.
You don't think that you may not get a lead, right? Because the post, if I get about 5 contacts a week, what about the 95?
I've never only gotten 5 contacts and.
No,
100
average
doors.
dose is about 25 to
Just
30
give me
contacts.
numbers, like, do you send out any postcard to people?
So I'll give you my entire process, because I do it a little bit differently than these two, because I'm new. I'm going for everyone. So at the end of the conversation, whether they're planning on selling in 1 to 2 years or 3 to 5 years, I still say, well, if you do make that move in 3 to 5 years, do you have a go-to realtor you would use? And then I just let them answer that. And then based on that, usually they say no. And I say, great, would you let me keep in touch? And I keep it vague so they don't think, oh my God, I'm gonna get 55 emails a year from this guy now. Like, I just I stopped talking because the more I talked, the less they wanted to give me their information. So then they give me their information. I write it down just like I showed you in command. I go back to the office, write them a thank you card. I send them a bingo scratcher. And then I give them a bit of info about like that we provide to our clients in the mail, and I send that off. And then I set them up. So that's going to get to them in a week. So then I set them up on the command drip, the monthly neighborhood nurture. And I set that up for 2 weeks out. So now the first day I meet them, I talk to them, I get their info. They're going to get the card from me in a week, plus a follow-up call saying, hey, did you get the card? Did you get the email? I also send an email out the day I meet them as well. We do like this quarterly market update, like I said, with the sold information in their neighborhood. So now I'm going in circles here, but the card gets to them a week out. Then the monthly neighborhood nurture. Then I send them 3 weeks out. I don't know if you guys have done this before on Realm. They have like this really easy, quick to make CMA. I schedule myself to make that 3 weeks out. So that's 4 touches in the first month of meeting me. And then then from there, it's the quarterly update that gets to them of like every quarter. It's his newsletter. So that's monthly. And then the neighborhood nurture plus my follow-up calls. And depending on how hot they are, I have them in categories.
But I think you're asking
45
more, what kind of mass mailing is going out? Yeah, well, that's a different project. That's part of the marketing process. For example, we did full page ads along the way, but it didn't start out that way. But we did full page ads, we did flyers, and those were all part of it. But be prepared, those are expensive. And until you build up your business from doing what we're talking about you doing, you better have a deep pocket to be able to afford to do that game,
It's $1.
especially in this environment.
Is it $1 a stamp?
I don't know, it doesn't matter. It's big bucks. Yes.
Sorry, just a quick question. How successful are you with getting their contact?
Who?
Like, you're not.
Honestly, like my arm's bleeding. I don't know why, but just like I got a mosquito bite and it's distracting the hell out of me. But I honestly I've been doing Bradford and it's crazy the contacts that are like I'm getting nowhere to lie 3 to 5.
No, but she's asking once you get the lead.
But to knock them, like how are they willing to give you their number or email?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
so he's answering,
it's-
sorry.
honestly, if you have really good conversations and you don't chat at them, you ask them questions and you let them talk, pretty likely they're going to give you their information.
We have a whole script that you can get at all of our scripts, but my script is very simple. You're welcome to have a copy of it. And at the end of the day, you're looking for someone who, in my mind, is going to move in 6 months to 2 years. And the script leads up to that and it allows you to get it. If you decide to venture off of that, that's fine. You're looking for those leads and be prepared. You go out some days, you might go 2 days and no leads, depending on how many doors you're doing. But another day you might get 4 or 5. It just varies. Don't get discouraged by hard and fast rule. And I'll say this too. Here's another little tidbit of information. So when you have your numbers, you have your goal. I don't know how many times I've had it where I'm at, let's pretend my doors are 150 for the day. And I'm at door number 140 and I've got 10 more to do, but my car is where it is and it's just at the end. I can cheat and call it a day and I got to pick up 10 more later, or I can add on and maybe add another 20 for that day or whatever. I'm telling you, door number 148 got me a hot lead. So don't cut your day short unless something dire gets in the way, because I've had magic happen in those latter doors. And then this is kind of unbelievable. We're having this conversation. He goes, it's not that complicated, but it is. When you strategically set up where you're going to start and park your car, you don't want to walk up the street and walk all the way back and not have your positioning that you're wasting your time because you ran out of cards all the way back. It's important where you position your car so you're making circles and you're rounding it out. And that's where you can run into trouble. And that's where you want to have a surplus of extra cards. Because I'll tell you, those extra few doors you may do that day because things don't work out exactly right. that's when the magic happens with some leads that you go, thank goodness I didn't call it a day and cut it short.
I'll be honest. I'm kind of the opposite of my dad. If I do 75 doors, but I've had 3 half-hour conversations, I know if I continue.
I've never had a half hour's conversation with anybody.
I go in people's houses. I'm in people's basements.
He's
I'm all over.
gonna do better than me because he's Mr. Sociable, right?
No, but like,
I didn't want to talk to anybody if you want to know the truth.
no,
I
but
just wanted to find out who's gonna move or not move.
I want my whole business model to be like, I actually care about the person. You know, like I really want them to feel like, oh my gosh, she's my best friend. I'm selling that.
You want to have a sleepover with me?
I made best friends with these people. It's weird. I literally sent a guy the day I met him a photo of my fruit garden. Yeah. No, but like I'll be totally happy. I go out, do 75 doors, but I get 5 leads. 2 of them are hot. And I've been out there for 3 hours, 3.5 hours. I know I can't do anymore. Like there's no point. I'm going to be literally the worst I've ever performed at those next 50 doors if I push myself. And I'd rather just go out the next day.
But you'll go another day and do more numbers to do an extra day, right? You'll do that.
No,
Oh, okay.
I do 4 days a week, and I keep track, and that's it. Like I get a lot of leads, so it's not really like. I don't think there's any special remedy. As long as you just be approachable and a nice person, people can sense that. If you talk at them and are annoying and, hey, I'm crazy Luke coming to sell your house, like people are gonna be like, who's this maniac at my front door? Like you can feel the fakeness. I can feel it off people, but I just go up and I be myself.
The simple formula over the years, it's basically 100 doors to keep 25 people, you should get 1 lead. So 1 out of 25.
But your idea of a lead's different than that.
Yeah, when I started off, I had a higher ratio because I really just added anybody who was going to be their email. Now, first of all, I'm like in the same area over and over again. So there's people that I need that I can't add twice in my database already in there. And I'm also way more selective now, right? Again, past and it was my first, second year, I really added whoever I could add. Which is not a bad idea to start, because you never know, there might something come out of it. But as your database gets bigger, you lose so many people if you can't keep up with the proper follow up with them.
But that's why the I think even in 5 years I'll continue going to cast the wide net approach, because how many people say, oh yeah, I'm not selling for 10 years, and then they sell 2 years later, and then you just didn't get that person's information.
Yeah, but
because if you could drip campaign them,
because otherwise you might as well get a phone book and add a phone book to the database.
Yeah, but then
Good point.
if there are people who are going to sell in 4 years, they're waiting for their kids to get out of college, and then in the meantime they see 3 other realtors, and now they've been put in that other realtor's database. Wouldn't it have been better in the first place to get them put in your
If they have a
database?
specific plan, I think that's the qualification
Because-
of the lead. Somebody who has. So if you ask if they sell you or not, and they say no, then there's no point adding them because they're just people, right? If they say yes in 4 years, even if it's 4 years out, I think it's totally worth trying to take them on as a lead because there's some specific plan in place.
I guess the good question is, what would you rather have, a 10,000 person database or a 500 person database?
It depends on the quality.
Yeah.
I can't keep up with 10,000 people
Here's the thing.
unless it's fully automatic.
Lead generating is important, but lead follow-up is as important. He's the rookie. He's got a lot of great new ideas that I'm sure are going to come to fruition.
You can
But at
set
the end of
times
the
where you
day,
call them 4
if you're
months,
not-
3 months,
If
45
you're not
days.
keeping in touch with
Depends.
these people on a regular basis by verbally talking to them, you reduce the risk of really making contact with them. And I'm going to add one more thing. In door knocking, the beauty of door knocking from cold phones, I've done both equally as much. I went probably 10 years of staying inside doing cold phones. And in the market in 2006, took a dump. And Diane and I looked at each other and said, you know what? The truth of the matter is you got better results from door knocking. The beauty of door knocking is that you get leads when you don't get leads. So for example, they remember you being out there, like getting back to Vincent saying, seeing them 3-4 times a year. They remember you out there. You may not have got them as a lead, but they'll call you. They've kept your card in some little drawer and they said, you know what, I'm going to call that guy because he's out there. And so remember that. That's the beauty of door knocking from doing cold phones. Never mind, we won't even talk about the do not call list. being out there now. You don't have that when you door knock.
Yeah, my favorite story to tell is about a lady who called me and said she wants to list her house with me. And that's a rare one. Usually they say that when you're engaged or something, but she was set to list her house with me. And I thought she must be in my database or something. I must have been in touch with her, but she wasn't. So when I sat at the table, I said, why did you call me? And she said, oh, I see your face all the time. I didn't have a single piece of advertising, nothing at this point. All she got was the same door knocking card in her door every 3 months, again and again and again. And yeah, we got to sell her house. They got to buy a house with me, and they got to sell to the parents' house. So it's 3 deals just from consistently showing up and leaving a card. And that's a nice advantage from door knocking over cold calling. And I'm not judging the two against each other. It's some people have capacity of cold call. I'm not. But at least when you're out there door knocking, first of all, they see your face. It's harder to be rude to you when you're face to face. So usually conversations are better. And you get to leave something behind. Even if they're not home, they see a little card. My last 2 listings this year both came from a QR code that I put on the door knocking card. It takes them to a home evaluation form on my website. So it works. It's not like you don't get a ton of business back from the cards being left, but you do get some. And there's also something you can't measure, because again, somebody might drop that card again and again and again, and they know your name, they recognize your name, and when time comes, maybe you'll get that call.
Sorry, so you're saying that if someone is not at home, to leave a card at the door?
Yes, it's a little bookmark about that size.
Yeah.
I like it because you can add a little bit more information down the business card. You can nicely like fold it into the door handle and leave it there. So yeah, I leave a card at every door. So again, it's almost like free. When you're there anyway, why wouldn't you leave something, right? It's like flyering. You leave 150 flyers every day. You don't have to pay anybody to do it for you.
The thing about, I decided to do business cards because I, once again, didn't want to have to do a big, huge project to get ready to go out there and do something. And there was a gentleman out in California that was doing 300 doors a day. And he said all he did was leave business cards. And I thought, you know what, that's great. It's nice and easy. However, I modified the business card to look like a bookmark to make it a little bit more substantial. I didn't want to leave a flyer because I go out and I talk and people come up with these ideas about what to leave and whatever. Hey, listen, you know what, go for it. I'm not saying that your ideas may not be bad, but the whole idea is you want to keep something that you can put in your hand, carry them, and leave at the door. And you want to keep it simple. That's really what you want to do. And by having that call to action on your business card, 2-sided business card, and a little bit of white space so that if they're on your database, you can leave a note. Hi, Bob and Betty. Sorry I miss you, if they are in the database. That's the objective of the business card. And you'd be surprised. Vincent's downplaying a little bit. Those people, whether they're on your database or not on your database, they do call back because of that. They surprising how many that will, even if they didn't see it.
Yeah, I got about every 5,000 cards, somebody calling back. So like I said, it's not a whole lot, but it's something. And the idea of the bookmark size card is it's big enough to leave. Like for example, I always do the just solds on the back when they have their recent solds. So you can put some of your just solds on the back. Chrome has your face, the QR code, contact information, call to action, and so on. So it's big enough to leave enough information, but small enough for them to put it in the fridge or keep it somewhere. A big flyer is most likely going to be recycling. People are not going to put it on the fridge.
I should have asked this at the beginning. So who here is lead generating, whether it's full phones or door knocking right now? Okay. So just to help you guys, because I'm a little worried that these guys are scaring you with numbers. Okay. And I really, remember I told you I started out doing 50 doors a day, 5 days a week. That's how I started. Okay. Something's better than nothing, but I will give you a little benchmark to work with. We had a team of anywhere from 3 to 6 agents at any given time on our team. Part of the mandate in the last 12 years of our real estate career being at Keller Williams, Gary said to me, he says, Tom, how come your team's not lead generating with you? Like the expectations were, well, I'm on a team, so I expect to get leads for nothing, right? And I said, yeah, you know what? He goes, no, you want to, if they're going to be on your team, you want them lead generating just like you are. So after hearing Gary say that, I thought, yeah, he's a pretty smart guy. He's right. And that's really what I wanted to have happen. So that was what took me over the edge to convince me to say, okay, I'm going to be a little bit more forceful with our team to say, if you don't want to play the game, you're not going to be part of the team. So everybody had to lead generate. They could either do cold phones or door knock. We had women on our team. We had older people on our team, whatever. Everybody did 125 to 150 doors a day, 4 times a week. They all did it. So just to help you guys get a handle on what you can or can't handle, these guys did that many doors a day. And you know, I don't even think anybody came in and did cold phones instead of door knocking, because they, at a short time, found the benefit of being out there and doing it.
Yeah, the contact rate plus the exercise, you get to get your, I keep track of my
The bonus
steps.
is it's healthy.
Yeah.
But I gotta admit, you know what? Several times out there, I see a mailman come by and go, you know, I'm an ex-banker. I worked in credit. I was a pretty high-level banker. And I felt like I'm just some courier out here. And then I kept thinking, well, you know what, though, he doesn't make the kind of money I make. So maybe I'll keep doing it, you know? But so I'm just helping you guys understand the trials and tribulations that I've gone through my decades of doing it. It's really, this business is really humbling. And I'm not sitting here saying, because we've done it, I'm not saying that this is the only thing you're going to do. But this is, if you're early in this business or trying to get your business rolling, it's what you do. And as you roll along, then you might want to enhance flyers or newspaper ad, whatever it is. Those are all good add-ons. And the more recognized you become in the town because of what you've started out with, the more recognition you're getting at the door when you're there. People would be in disbelief in my last 15, 20 years of my career going, Tom, what are you doing out here? Like, in disbelief that I'm out there door knocking on their house because I did so much business.
Most memorable door. You must have one that sticks out at you after all those doors, all that years of door knocking.
Me?
Yeah, your most memorable door.
Oh, I can tell you all kinds of stories. It's not about gratification as much to, so I'm gonna say something before we talk about that. I want you to think about when you're out there door knocking, on those days where it's not that nice of weather, and this guy's a kamikaze when it comes to door knocking. I mean, we door knock all year round, okay? But he loves the winter. I hated the winter. I would try to do whatever I could do to think, do I really have to do this? However, getting back to what Dan's asking me, the one thing that story like Diane likes to tell is this woman come in, it was in Aurora actually. It was, she come in and Diane happened to be fumbling around the front desk area. And, you know, we had 2 assistants that did stuff for us and whatever, but she happened to be fumbling around and she said, oh, I'm looking, I want to book an appointment with Tom. And then all of a sudden Diane goes, oh, hi, you know, and just had a little bit of a chat. Diane's a pretty friendly person, better than me. I just would have walked away. But she's a pretty friendly person and just started chatting it up. But she goes, you know what? I'm in here because I saw your husband in February. And she goes, it was probably the coldest day of the year. And your husband, he's out there, whatever, -20. He's got a frozen booger hanging from his nose. And it's like, if a guy's out there doing that kind of business, and he's got to be a hard worker. And I can tell you several of those kinds of stories, whether it be cold or rain or whatever. Those are the kinds of things that get you real, I call them sympathy votes. Sympathy, people saying, boy, not feeling sorry for me, but saying, boy, this guy's willing to endure stuff like that. He's a hard worker. So, Vincent, you, I'm sure, have many stories like that.
People always ask me, but not really. It's I mean, it's just always the nicest ones for me are the ones that really you got the lead years ago. You keep in touch, and ultimately, at some point, it comes to the point you sell the house, you get a great result, they're happy. It's just like it's very satisfying with things finally fall in place. People only see the tip of the iceberg, right? They see the sold side that comes up, and you sold the house. They don't see the work, the 4, 5, and 6 years of work. They don't see the grind it took to get that one lead. Maybe it was a 38-degree summer day, maybe it was my coldest day was -38. I remember that. I've never missed a single day.
He's a kamikaze. It's
It's
unbelievable.
like the harder the weather gets, the more time to do it because I'm the only one.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm excited for summer to end so that I
This
can
guy's
be out
gonna-
there.
This guy's gonna get more of those because he's Mr. Sociable. Vincent's probably a little bit
That's
more
it.
like
Before
me.
you go on though, like one other thing is you wouldn't believe because I'm sociable, how many people tell me about their neighbors. Oh, he's going to sell in a year. You should go back to that house. I'll go back to the house and get that person's
Yeah,
information.
another great advantage. of
I-
going off. You always
I-
have people talking.
Yeah.
I think when you calling, you don't say,
No.
well, the person, by the way, decided like that. When
Yeah.
you're chatting with people,
It's
they
crazy.
usually start off like, oh yeah, like they always say like, well, we're here for 30 years. Oh, you're originals. Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Congratulations. Makes me really proud. We're so proud. And then they say, yeah, and John, and I always joke. They say, are you the mayor of Boothbay Street? Well, it's called. They chuckle. And yeah. We're like, well, this one is actually also original. And then these guys came like 15 years ago, and across the street, they might be thinking of selling because I know he just got a job transfer to Alberta. So they talk, get them talking. So it's a huge advantage when you door knock. My very first, one of the biggest listings ever I got, I met the cleaning lady who told me that they're thinking of selling. So
Yeah, I meet arborists. I met 2 arborists who've given me information like that, cutting down trees.
Okay, so I'm going to give you the flip side of that nice thing to a disaster. So over the years, I've had several people shadow me, and they're all at the end of it all, they're all surprised how little rejection I get. Doesn't mean I haven't had someone slam the door and be rude to me, but it's really amazing when they find out who I am. They think I'm the door-to-door vacuum salesman or whatever. But when they realize who I am, they back off and they bite their tongue. And even if they want to be rude, they really aren't. But my favorite story is, well, first of all, when I establish this really early. If I don't, I'm on purpose when I go out there and do it. And I'm an objective to do so many doors a day. And unlike Luke, I'm not going to cut it off at 75. I'm doing my 150, damn it, or whatever that number is. At the end of the day, I knew that if I'm going to do these efficiently, I got to cut across front lawns. I've got to do that. And I'm not going to not be able to do that. If I don't do that, I'm going to tack on another half hour to 45 minutes on my day. So, and I accept the fact that, I'm going to piss some people off periodically for doing that. But I'll play those numbers and just apologize. Here's my story. I'm in Aurora again. It's funny, I didn't door knock a lot in Aurora, but I'm in Aurora again, and I'm cutting across. These are just 50-foot lots. I'm cutting across this guy's lawn. And I get to the door, knock on the door, and he gives me one of these looks. And I'm going, how are you? And I roll into my script. He goes, what the F are you doing? He goes, I don't appreciate you cutting across my lawn. So I just carried on my script a little bit more, and I just said, okay, I'll keep it short. And I just apologized. And I said, look, I'm really sorry. Have a good day. I think I handed my business card. That or I left it in the door. I can't remember. A month later, don't we get a call? Okay. Get a call from this guy. Not only did I list his house, he bought a house. We sold 2 of his family members a house all within a year and a half. Now, I could have been rude to this guy and say, you know how many doors I got to knock on a day? And you know what? What the heck? What's the big deal about cutting across your lawn? Come on, it's meant to be walked on. But no, I just apologized for doing it and just carried on. And he called me back, and next thing you know, it turned into 3 deals in a very short period of time.
Yeah, Brooke, yeah.
Yeah, sorry if I missed this because I'm a bit late, but how often do you recirculate the same area?
Yeah, so I find 4 times a year is a good number. So
Depends how big your area is,
Every
too.
3, well, that depends how many doors you get.
Yeah.
So that's how you kind of pick your area, but you can be back 4 times.
Like,
Yeah. Because otherwise, like even now, people tell me, "Oh, you were just here." And I was like, "No, it was actually 6 or 8 months ago." But it feels like so you don't want to. You rather widen your area than being back.
Like some people, like if you're doing all of Barrie, that's probably going to take you a year. But So like me, I'm doing Bradford and Newmarket, and I'm probably going to be there once a year, realistically. But I know some guys who, like Vincent said, they have their little farm within Aurora or within Newmarket. And it's funny, like I find that is almost too much because again, you're just seeing the same people over and over and over. But I'm new, so I can't really speak on it too much. But there's some people where they'll have that farm they do 4 times a year, but when they're not doing it, they're going and doing the rest, and then they'll come back and do it, and then go do the rest, and then come back. So there's that strategy where it's just as long as you're out there, that's the thing. Never overthink. Just go do it. And like literally,
Yeah,
you'll be shocked.
If you're not lead generating, what are you doing? Okay, what are you really doing? And I'll tell you what you're probably doing. You're probably doing too many tedious things that are non-productive, that are wasting your time, that you think are there. Your goal should be this. I want to get leverage so well that I want to be like Tom, that I haven't showed a property for 20 years. No working with buyers. I can control my own schedule. I never did a CMA for 25 years. Didn't even know how to work the computer to do a CMA. I did not call, everything I did was leveraged. I just went out there and lead generated, lead follow-up, dealt with my team. And if you can aspire to something along those lines, that you're getting yourself leverage, that you're doing the things that are either highly effective or you enjoyed it. I didn't even negotiate offers. My team member negotiated my offers on my listings. Think about my schedule, how nice that was, that I didn't have to work. And this is before the days where you guys can do things online now and have them all transmitted, which gives you a bit more flexibility. We had to present offers at 9 o'clock at night or whatever. Like there was not, everybody did that for me. That's what our business built up to, that I had things in place to get leverage. And that's what, I'm not saying this to you guys to sound cocky. I'm saying this because that's what I want you to think about as to why you're working hard short-term, short-term pain for long-term gain, so that you're doing the things that you enjoy in the business or are highly effective. And when you get that and you get your schedule that you can enjoy your family and do things with your family, not just this rat race that's in this business that gives you great potential to make a lot of money, that gives you a lot of 24/7 days. It really gives you clarity over why you're doing some of the things that you maybe don't like doing. And if you're sitting there busy doing administrative duties, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Those aren't the big rocks.
More of
Yes.
a comment than a question. So it seems like you really set yourself up as like a partner of like a Deloitte or like a partner of a law firm. Your job is to be in front of the people, right? And then that's basically what you described to be. Like as a realtor, you've taken on the role of almost being a partner of your own company.
Well, I owned a business. That's what it evolved to, right? I owned a business and people did things that either I didn't want to do. Doesn't mean I couldn't do them. I didn't want to do, or I knew I wasn't that, like, for example, showing properties. One, I didn't want to do it because I knew it affected my schedule. Because guess what? I used to feel sick in my early real estate career. I sold a house on Wednesday. Guess what I'm doing on the weekend? I'm showing properties. Now my schedule for listing appointments, 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock at night, 4 days a week. That's when they see me. If someone's ready to list their house, I might see them on a Saturday. That's it. That's the schedule. Offers are being handled by my team. My schedule was beautiful. I did lead generate. All the agents in town used to think I was a workaholic. I had the life of Riley. I had a pretty good system going. And as a matter of fact, my wife had 2 strokes and our career ended a little early because of pulling back on stuff. But I think I might have been 80 years old, still kind of running this, if it hadn't been for that. And, now that I'm out of it, I'm kind of enjoying semi-retirement. And, now all I do is go out and talk about it and help coach people that, need to be coached over what they should be thinking about in their career. Because it is easy to get caught up in just being a one-man show because you can do everything and you can do it and life's pretty good. But you ever heard the saying, there's been good and great? Good prevents you from becoming great. And if you get caught up in all the small stuff, you'll be a good agent, but you won't become a great agent. It gives you a lot of leverage and flexibility in your career to not only allow you to make more money, a lot more freedom. And to me, the freedom was the bigger thing. Yes.
Okay, so basically the most important part is the obvious is lead generation, and that's what we should focus on. So when you do find that it's working and you're getting a lot of leads and getting overwhelmed with the administration stuff, that's when you should probably, at the beginning, before you have the money to partner and hire administration staff, to partner with other realtors that don't want to.
I'm not saying that. No,
Yeah, but.
partnerships in real estate are few and far between. Partnerships don't work.
Okay, what about getting realtors that don't want to lead generate, but to do the admin work, and they just get a percentage of the deal?
Well, you can, that's what maybe called leverage, and you might be able to work out a schedule like that, or some agents that are really struggling, but that's when you start to formulate your team. Get them to be part of your team.
Okay, so that's what I'm trying to get at is the beginning.
But then you're gonna find out if you're the guy who's lead generating, like Gary told me, you know, Gary Keller, you're a new person, right? Gary Keller, he told me, Tom, like, why are you the only one lead generating? Why is your team not doing it? So then you're gonna have these expectations if you don't have that mindset that these guys are coming in for a freebie, and you may accept your team to operate that way. I just found it frustrating. But I'm out there doing.
To be fair, you had a licensed admin and a normal administrator. Like he
We
had
had-
people
we
on the
had a-
back end.
We had 3 administrative people, but you don't start out that way.
That's what I'm
All
trying to
I'm
get at.
saying is you build up for that. For example, now Diane's got VAs that can do work for you guys, okay? And they're very reasonably priced. That's what you need to think about. You want to, I'm saying all this to you is I'm talking, it's called leverage. And the leverage you can hand out so that you can do the most important thing is lead generate, lead follow-up while you're doing showings, while you're doing your offers. Those are the big rocks in this part of your career, okay? And then you might want to scale it and fine tune it, but you don't want to be sitting there on the computer working stuff out. You don't want to be doing that. That doesn't make you money. Think about it. It's embarrassing me to say this.
What's
If
the
I did
exact
not do,
question?
if I did not do a CMA for people all these years, I would go out with some paper that my assistant prepared to go out and give them a value of their house.
But what's the exact question? Like you're asking at what point are you making enough money to get an
I guess
assistant?
it would go beyond door knocking, because this is a very interesting story, because it is about the lead generation in general. That's where it's all built around. And then each phase of your growth, you start adding, well, like you said, rocks. You add different rocks to fill in different areas. So like what Gary was saying, there was a point where you had to do it all the lead generation yourself, but then as you build a team, then you got to start teaching your team. But before you do that, you got to have admin people or some kind of relationship, and then you got to look at.
If you don't have an assistant, you are the assistant.
Right.
And if you don't have a schedule, I'm going to add to it. If you don't have a schedule, the first person that calls you in the day is creating your schedule. So you better have a schedule figured out that you're on appointment if you're lead generating. All important stuff to understand to help you get to that next level. Because if not, you're going to be in the trenches doing all that mundane stuff that's preventing you from doing the big rocks. That's all I want to make you aware of.
It's a great first question today. Really great first question. Took us an hour to answer. I hope you have 12 more.
Well, I wanted to open it up, Stacy. Did you have your hand?
Well, one of my questions was, do you cut over the grass?
Yeah.
It depends.
That's why I love the winter, because you don't get in trouble in the winter cutting lawns. In the fall, if it's a really nice lawn, or especially if people are outside and not swearing.
Yeah, there's some mansions out there. You probably.
No, you know what? The answer is yes. Okay, let them tell you whatever they want to tell you. The answer is yes. I cut across lawns. However, if it says do not cut across the grass, I'll respect that. Okay, and you know, actually, let's take it one step further. You know the do not solicit signs on there. Okay, I respect those too. I will leave them a business card. However, if they're on the database, I'll knock on that door. All the more reason why, if you've got a database you're building, it's important when you're out there door knocking, you know who's on your database so that you can make that contact. You're not intimidated by the do not call list. And I did respect that if they weren't on the database, but I did leave a business
Yeah,
card.
no soliciting sign, you just leave a card, no junk mail. I knock, but don't leave a card.
Yeah, sometimes you'll see a big long essay of everything they don't want. Those people I don't even bother with because I'm like, I'm gonna get put in some system where my phone's getting blown up. Like people have techniques now to scare off door knockers. So yeah.
I was just wondering, what, you know, introvert, extrovert type, scenario, you seem to be an extrovert, Luke?
Yeah. But like, what are you
The
saying?
question is, I just find you guys all have such different approaches that it's really interesting that you're matching your personalities. I didn't know, Tom, what your, personality type was, introvert or?
I'm not an introvert, but it's really amazing that I've been involved and sold as many houses as I did because I'm not a people person, but I
Yeah,
have a high D personality. So I'm a driver and I want to get things done. Vincent's a lot like that too. I bet he is more sociable than I am, but it's like the beauty of real estate, anybody can do it. Doesn't matter what your personality is, you'll adapt accordingly. Like I said, he's more sociable than I am. I'm trying to get him to reduce how long he's spending at a door because it is affecting his numbers, but he'll figure that out on his own system. If you have the ability to talk to people comfortably, that's another reason why I went out door knocking from doing cold phones. I am terrible. I'm a terrible talker. As much as I'm talking to you here, it's because I know what I'm talking about, but I'm not. If I'm at a group of people, I'm not going out. I see these guys in the office here. I'm not the one, hey, how you doing? It's good to see you and whatever. I'm not that guy. I'm the hermit in the corner. Okay. It's really unbelievable that I was as successful in real estate as I am. But guess what? My numbers, scripts, dialogues, and as much as I was a hermit, when I tuned into someone who was serious and knew what they wanted to do, I can focus in and pay attention and listen to what they got to say.
The thing though is like to say I'm more of like a right in the middle. Like I can be an extrovert, but this is what I'm saying. This is why like if I go do 150 doors, it's like I'm putting on a character. Like I'm forcing myself to be as likable as possible for 3.5 hours straight, which is exhausting. Right. So that's why I cap it at the doors because I'm like my, I'll have like 3 or 4 half-hour conversations, but I'll get really good
I'm
leads.
chuckling at his half-hour conversations. I'll tell you why. Even if I got some guy, listen to this. You're not going to believe this. Okay. Now I worked in the time frame. Remember, I've been out of this for 6 or 7 years. So I worked in the time frame for our average price was $350,000 to $500,000. If I'm sitting here knocking your door and it was $750,000 and you're talking seriously about wanting to list your house, I'm taking as little and quick information as I can because I got to get on to the next door. Think about it. I'm not sitting there having a social get together because he's going to list his house. No, I got 140 more doors to knock on. I'm going to get your information. The assistant will call back, book an appointment to go in and meet and greet and do all that other fun stuff with that person.
One important concept at the door is the whole mirrored match concept, which I really find you develop over time. You kind of automatically just learn to work it. But think about it, they don't expect you at the door. They open the door, they don't know who you are, and now you have about 2 seconds to make an impression, to own their trust. So if they're quiet, you're quiet. If they're loud, you're loud. I always give them the card and take a step back. So I'm not here to, I'm also like pretty tall, so they might be more afraid of me. But again, I give them a card, take a step back, introduce myself, and then based on their reaction, I try to fully mirror that as well. So again, if it's a loud, big guy swearing, I swear too.
Mm-hmm.
It's an older,
malleable,
if
yeah.
it's an older, quiet lady, and my voice is not as loud, it's softer. So because that's kind of, you have very little time to kind of set the stage and somewhat gain their trust. Because once the conversation about them selling or not selling starts, and they are thinking of selling, they trust you, they might tell you that. If they don't trust you, or they're like scared of you, or whatever is this person going to do? Why is he here? The answer is always going to be no. So that's something I found over the years, very powerful. Another thing, and I don't think I'm going to go into the whole script thing, but I changed my script from, great, how can I add it to my list of preferred clients? No, people don't want to be on a list, they don't be clients. I should say, fantastic, would you allow me to keep in touch with you? Then I just zip it, make it as awkward and as long as possible until they say yes. Great, what's the best email to keep in touch? What's your phone number? Once they talk, you can ask them anything. Just don't let them stop talking.
That's the thing is like why I didn't finish my point about introvert extrovert is you're not info dumping on them. You're allowing them to info dump on you. That's why you just ask questions and then shut up because they're going to tell you the world. Like they will literally tell you everything. If you're just quiet and ask good questions that are to do with the conversation, but about real estate, like they're going to tell you everything. They're going to sing up there.
We have an online question here from someone virtually. What are some of your key talking points at the door that open people up to giving their contact info? I have great conversations, but getting the contact is my biggest hurdle.
Yeah, I think you have to just kind of, you have to figure out very quickly, is this a lead, is this a potential seller or not? Like Tom said, 99% are not. So they say no, they're not interested. There's no point really to go into a lengthy conversation with them. You're moving on to the next door. It's a numbers game. When you sense that there is something, you can, I usually say, great, how long have you been here already? I kind of look at the house and admire the house. And then they say, oh, 25 years, fantastic. Always repeat what they say, makes me feel good. If you were to move, where would you go to? Maybe up to Barrie. Very wonderful. Yeah, family there. Yeah, our daughter lives up there. And the grandkids. Oh, wouldn't that be nice? Listen, how when do you think of doing that? Maybe when Bob's getting retired. Oh, how far out is Bob from retirement? Maybe 2 years. Great, it's fantastic. Would you allow me to keep in touch with you so I can keep you posted on the market and so on? Sure. That's kind of like you roll into that, but it's almost like you have to recognize or notice that there might be a lead from the beginning. Otherwise, you just go on. There's no point talking about.
Do you? But to like, this is why a 5 to 10 minute conversation for me has been so valuable. I'm having such a good conversation with these people. They almost feel bad not giving me their info. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, because you're Mr. Social.
No, but it's insane. It's literally like, and they go, of course, yeah, here's this, here's that.
Here's what I'm
I
gonna
go,
tell you.
but my main finisher now is either what Vincent just said or, 4 years. If you were to make that move, do you have a go-to realtor you would use? And then most of the time they say, oh no, or my sister-in-law. And then if they say I have someone, it's like, well, it's always great to have a second opinion. Or if they just say no, I say, oh, awesome. Well, would you let me keep in touch? And then, yeah, I
But
just shut
here's
up.
what happens with experience as you go out and do this. You get to really understand body language.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And when you start to understand body language, you know if you have someone in the short term who's not necessarily telling you the truth, that's where questions become important. Okay? More questions. And we have a script. It's 5. These guys are going variants on it, whatever. I just know the script. I worked for decades, worked. And at the end of the day, you can't convert everybody.
Mhm.
So I don't want the guy like Luke that's going to move 10 years from now. I'm on to the next. I'm looking for that live one. That live one being not necessarily next week or next month or 2 months from now. I'm looking for the guy that's 6 months to 2 years out. And you can expand it. If you're new in the business and you're trying to build your database, maybe extend it to 3.5 years.
Mine's
whatever.
usually like 1 to 5 years.
You know?
Most of the time it's that range.
You can expand it all you want because you may get some pleasant surprises, like Luke said, and they may speed things up on you.
If they really like you too, what if they
Yeah.
have a daughter who's looking to buy something?
Okay,
Or
so
you never know.
So
That's why I don't
let's
want to cut
enhance this
people out.
one more. The lead follow-up call after 1 week is not only to clarify that they get the information and you have all your information right, is that sometimes that initial door knock is they're just checking you out. Even though they were good enough to give you, they're just checking you out to see if you really are pretty good or not. And sometimes on that 1 week follow-up call, and we have a script for that too, so if you want it, we'll be happy to share it with you. A 1 week follow-up call, not only are you clarifying to make sure you have all the proper information, phone numbers, emails, and all that stuff, is that, are there any changes? And sometimes that guy that was 6 months to a year to 2 years out, things are heating up sooner.
I've also added to the follow-up
Yeah.
call. If they don't answer, I don't just leave a voicemail. I have a pre-written text I send them too now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the 1
text.
week follow-up, you shouldn't leave voicemails. The others, when they're just pure follow-up calls, it's okay to leave the odd voicemail, but your 1 week follow-up, you should change your timing to call. You should make contact with that person. And I'm gonna add one more thing. I've just gone thinking about a bunch of stuff here. When you're out there door knocking, if you're not getting both names on, if you got a spouse in there,
Geo Warehouse.
so you want to make sure you, well, ask them. They'll tell you. People go out and scared to ask. You ask them, they'll tell you who it is. If Betty answers the phone, but you met Bob door knocking, you want to bring Betty into that conversation on the 1 week follow-up. Hey, Betty, you know what? Just following up to see you got the information. Sometimes Betty's all warm and fuzzy and she's happy that you made that call and you've connected with her. Other times she's pissed off that Bob's telling you something that she wasn't really tied in with. So you got to be prepared to float with to go with the flow with it. And if you're dealing with Betty, who's pissed off that you're following up on something that she's not really on the same par with, no big deal. You're just downplaying, saying, no, kind of like what Luke says, he wasn't talking about moving tomorrow. We just said we'd keep you in touch with you and keep you posted on how the market is and whatever. And you just roll with it. But that 1 week follow-up, if you get Betty instead of Bob, make contact with Betty. Because guess what? Your next call with Betty, 9 times out of 10 will be a good call.
But the text is important for me because a lot, like, I mean, how many of you answer a random number? Probably like, yeah, this guy. He's
But always been a
the
seller.
freak. But now I've sent that text and it has my name in it and I sent a smiley face emoji. Like now it's a little more context. Okay, maybe now when that number comes back, I'm gonna answer it. So I'll set up another 1 week follow-up if they don't answer that first time.
Question from Luke. How do you tie in social media?
See,
I'm impressed with that. That is really a nice touch.
yeah, I mean, so because I have a background in shooting and editing, I create, like, it takes me about 5 minutes to shoot these little videos, but then it's about an hour and a half of editing, right? It's a lot of work on the back end. But if you can even go out in your story and film yourself saying, oh, I'm outdoor knocking, just and your script could vary, but just talk about the people you met throughout the day, explain what happened. Like, I don't know why people find it interesting to see what you're actually getting up to out there. And you think about it, it's a touch point for your entire 850,000 people you have on social media. Oh, look, that guy's out there every day. People think I go door knocking like 7 days a week just because I post a video once or, twice a month of me door knocking. But now I'm in their brains as the guy who's out there always door knocking. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but I could
Can you bring it up?
I'll try.
Just a knock away.
Knock away. Maybe while he's doing that, what do you wear?
This.
What do you wear?
That's what I look like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I used to try to be all dressy, and I'm like, what? This is not me. I felt so uncomfortable. I feel like I intimidated people because I looked like a salesman. But this, I look.
Yeah,
look
I think this guy is be like what I most would look like. It's like short button-up shirt, comfortable pants, shoes got to be good, obviously. But yeah, no suits, no dress shoes. You can't do it.
He's got a question, but I just want to enhance what you were talking about for attire. Remember, you want to dress for the occasion, but be comfortable. Do not let the conditions be an excuse to say, I got to cut out 75 doors like Luke's going to do. Okay. I got 75 more doors to do. You want to dress warm if you're doing it in the winter. You want to dress appropriately.
Wait. To be fair, I'm hitting 400 or 500 doors a week. It's not like I'm like not hitting a lot of doors.
Okay.
He's just all caught up.
At the end of the day, it's dress comfortable, but make sure you're dressing for the conditions, because if you don't, it'll be a reason as to cut it short.
So I'll give you the
Sorry, he has a question.
102 doors, 30 contacts, 2 leads, 1 appointment asked. Like, I keep track of all that stuff too. It's good to keep track of that while you're out there.
You had a question.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, what are some good lines to start the conversation?
Well, we have a script. You know what?
I took down names. I'll send out. your
Okay.
Script to everybody.
Yeah.
Because
Hi there, I'm Luke Mitchell with the Mitchell team, just working in the area. Curious for the moving plans the next year or so.
But they usually say no to that, and then anyways.
You'd be showing. Some people are like, yeah, I do.
So now, Ryan, you've got a unique scenario. You're up in cottage country.
Yeah.
So you're not door knocking, you're.
I want to take my boat and go from dog
Yeah.
to dog. So
When we do rural properties around here, we used to call it car knocking. So you do boat knocking.
knock.
Yeah.
You know,
You know what? You got a toughie there. I'm not sure whether continue to do that or maybe start to embrace the phone.
Yeah.
To do the phone, because your numbers are gonna be limited.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's do the script. Let's do the script that I've used so they get a handle on what it is. Why don't we do that? Why don't you, I'm gonna knock on your door. Okay, so knock, knock. Hi. It's Tom Mitchell. I'm handing you my business card. It's Tom Mitchell with the Mitchell team. I'm just in the area and curious as to whether you're thinking about moving next 3 to 6 months. You're gonna say no. You're gonna just say no.
No.
Okay, because usually they're, yeah, no problem. Just curious, how long have you lived here?
7 years.
7 years, great. You know, if you were to move, would you stay locally or move out of the area? Sorry?
Out of city.
Out of city, whereabouts?
South.
Like Toronto or Aurora or
Big city.
King City? Oh, great. Do you have family there or do you downsize, upsize? What would you be considering?
Outside.
Yeah, oh, great. Do you think you might do that in the next year or two? No, okay. Well, then on to the next. I'm not, unless I feel vibes that he's maybe not telling me the truth, I might take up 1 or 2 more questions. But at that point, and I've got you going and you're indicating that, my move out of Newmarket and Aurora was, we're moving north. Barrie, the answer is no. But when I throw the year or 2 out there, that's when the door opens. That's when the no becomes a yes. And it's the questions in between that create that dialogue from being skeptical to, hey, and remember, I did get brownie points as I went on in my career because everybody knew who Tom Mitchell was, but don't expect that. Just the questions enhance and allow you to embrace and have that relationship that they feel comfortable talking to.
Can I ask you, like, if someone is talking about this, they still give you a business card?
Yeah.
Everybody gets a business card.
Everybody gets.
The script at the end, he basically said, well, if you do have a change of plans, what was it like? Please give me a call.
Please
something
give me
like
a
that.
call.
And then you give them the card.
And people call you back because of that, minimal, but at the end of the day, you've created another bit of, opportunity for yourself that, I mean,
But Vincent, on your script, you leave the card at the beginning of the conversation, right?
Yeah, I leave the card say, hey, I'm Vincent, I work with KWEx.
we do that.
Sometimes people, like,
we all-
it's the
we all
worst
give the-
feeling ever. You're standing there holding the card.
We all
out,
give the card
and
at the
they're just
beginning.
looking at you like,
The card's given at the
a
beginning,
minute.
not at the end.
Plus the card creates a bit of a reaction already, right? So again, we talked about body language. So they get the card, they look at it, and often if they're completely not interested, they already start shaking their heads. Or they look at the card a little bit more detailed, turn it around, this is what you're saying. That's again, you observe body language, and that kind of determines if you're going to go a bit deeper or not.
Card's given at the beginning. There's a bit of misunderstanding here. Card's given right at the beginning.
Everybody gets a card.
Hand the card.
So if you're going to like the doors 4 times a year, are you saying the exact same thing?
Yeah.
To every person? Sure, the exact same.
They're not
Yeah.
gonna remember what he said 3 months ago. Don't worry about that.
I mean, if
We-
it's
we read into it too much, but if they're on the database and they are, you might.
yeah, it's a different conversation.
Different
If it's
conversation.
January, I say, if any plans to sell your house, maybe the spring or the summer. If it's summer, I review if there are any plans to sell your house this year, next year. Maybe it's seasonal, but it's the same.
I always like to throw in like I'll like ask like people on the team if they have like a buyer for a certain area. And I'll be like, I can throw that in. Like I have a buyer for this area, like that sort of thing too. But
Do you have a buyer on that yet?
I know I would say if I didn't have.
Because I hear that people use that script a lot, and I think like that could get you like in if you do actually have the buyer. But if you, some people,
Like they're from here, the reason that they're coming here is because of this.
okay, so that's good then. Yeah. Some people like in Bradford, I hear like other people will tell me, people go up to the door and be like, I have a buyer for your house. And I'm thinking like, well, then where's the buyer? Why are you standing here? Why isn't he with you? Like, you're kind of BSing these people and they can sense it. But if you actually have it, then go for it.
No, I mean, my script is purely, it's very direct, straightforward. It's really just to identify a potential lead. That's why, and I get the reaction. Say, my name is Vincent. I work with KWEx. It's realty, like real realty. Just curious if you have any plans to move or sell your house in the next 3 to 6 months. Move, sell, realty. They got the card. Most of them just shake it off. Like, no, I'm not interested. But if you feel some hesitation, that's when I go deeper. So how long have you been here? Where would you go to? Where you lived before? what drew you here to this area, and so on.
And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, like, how many of you guys are outdoor knocking like consistently right now? Yeah, kind of. Yeah, the first month was hell for me. I hated every second of it, and I still don't like it much, but I'll do it because I know the financial upside. Like I can go do it, and literally I'm like, oh God, I have to go do this, but I do it, and the consistency is the most important because you become more and more numb to that sickening feeling of like, why am I doing this? I'm not kidding. Like that's what it was for me. But I just worked through it, and I just did it. I put my head down, and I was like, I'm just gonna do this. And yeah.
Has anyone asked, like, how long in the industry now?
Like 3.5 months. Yeah, they've asked me.
Your results so far?
Oh no, I thought you were gonna say how long have I been?
No,
Sorry.
so how are you finding? Are you getting some traction?
I mean,
like spring or whatever.
I mean, I've been on two. Vincent, you could speak to that. Like, I'm doing.
Yeah, I think your results are pretty good. Like you're getting a lot of leads, you're getting more leads than me. That's good. And you set a
He's wearing them down with those half-hour conversations.
Yeah, they just want him out. They just okay, take whatever. The soup is burning.
I have started actually adding to Sarah's kind of mentoring me right now, and I started asking at the door because she's like, you're having all these amazing conversations and not asking for an appointment at the door, which is where you're like a closer. So I've actually started asking, like, have you had anyone by to give you an idea of what your home's worth? And a lot of the time people say no. And I've only been doing this for about a week and a half, but I asked them straight up right there, well, would you be okay if I can't come by in a couple of days and give you a better idea, or even that same day? And I was real close last week to getting that, but yeah, that I feel like I'm better in person. I mean,
you know what? He's got a leg up because he can brag about the Mitchell family, whatever, selling 4,000 homes. So I've
never said that.
I keep reminding him. No, but I'm talking about a listing appointment.
Yeah.
You know, I keep reminding him like that he does have that. For those that you don't, you just carry on with your strengths and what you do and what you offer. Like at the end of the day, I don't want to spin off into listing appointments because I was a terrible listing appointment guy. Remember, I'm the guy that's not a people person, right? So it's like I could tell 2 minutes into walking into the place whether I'm going to get the listing or not. I could just tell. It was like, what am I wasting my time here for? And if it was, I'd get the heck out as quick as I can. But the beauty of listing appointments that you get from door knocking, A, less discussion about commission, B, better chance of getting it, less competition. Remember that.
But also, like in the 3 months probably that I've been actually door knocking, I probably put about 130 people in my database just from door knocking. Yeah.
Are you doing like sphere work too, like calls to?
You know what the problem in my sphere is? Every single person's a realtor. Like it's insane. I do have some people that aren't, but my dad, my brother-in-law, my sister, my cousins are all realtors. Like my sphere is very limited.
But the ones that are, you're keeping.
I do keep in touch with them, and I'll text them.
Sphere, business associates, family. You want to be touching base with those every 4 to 5 months, and make sure that when as the business associates and whatever, you may not exactly, make sure you get their home addresses for those business associates, because you want them to do business with you just like you do business with them.
I didn't go off of what you were he was asking about. Have you had people ask you how long you've been doing it?
Yeah.
And if so, what's your response?
I tell them 3 months, and they go, "Wow, really?"
I feel like it's crazy. It's the same for me when I started 10 years ago. In your first year, everybody asks you. It's almost like
I probably got asked it about 4 times, and I've told them honestly, and they said, "We really like you," and they let me keep in touch with them. They say, in 3 or 4 years, once you've done more business, we'd like you to sell our house. Like I had a couple say that to me. I was like, great, perfect. You're going in the database.
Remember this, as much as there may be some hesitation because you are new, there's others that want the underdog and the guy that is new, that, they really want to help you out, especially with a door knocking lead, because you've been out there hustling your butt.
Also, when you're new and you're on a team like me, like I'm new, but you're not going to get a new realtor. You're getting a team of people who've been doing it for a decade minimum. So that's the way I'm kind of.
And you let them know you provide them I don't have business right now, but I'm going to be providing you, because I've had people asking me, is this too much for you? And I said, well, no, but
you're gonna provide them their full attention,
Oh, yeah.
right?
You're gonna get sick of me.
You work on your strengths, and if you know what your competition is, you don't want to slander them, but you really emphasize your strengths that you know they don't have. Like, think about it. I sold over 4,000 houses in Newmarket. I was never the number one agent. Never. Top 10 at Remax back when we were there in North America. Top 10 in Canada, in North America. Never the number one in my town because I had Craig Proctor in my town. And I was never able to say I'm number one. Talk about humbling, talk about frustrating, but that's the reality of what I dealt with. Everybody's got a story. Everybody's got a stumbling block they got to deal with. You got to learn how to zig and zag around it and work on your strengths. That's all you do.
Second best realtor in Newmarket.
Yeah. and that's even questionable. But the guy was lead generating, so he became that. You know, here's something else that Gary said, and it was at family reunion, I think, and it really hit home with me, even though I've been lead generating before I got involved with Keller Williams 15 years ago. He goes, he's up there talking to a panel, and I've been at family reunion, I spoke on stage and done all that stuff. They had me up. They did a big door on my street, International, and they took me a picture of me on the street. And it was kind of weird. You're walking down the whole, it's 15,000 people. And here you're on stage doing a Q&A with Gary, and going down all the big screens have your picture on it with this door. Okay. It's kind of neat, but weird. And it's a door that was on my street. Anyways, Gary said, not during my interview, but I remember him talking in the early stages of getting involved with Keller Williams. If you learn how to do one or two things that are going to allow you to do the big rocks at a high level, I don't care how smart you are, you're going to be becoming one of those people that people are going to want to talk to. They're going to be you're going to be on stage talking to us because you fine tune your craft to perform at a high level that people want to find out what it is that makes it work.
To go off of another thing I heard Gary Keller say on that Millionaire Real Estate podcast, and this was like, wow, this is why you need the door knock in the mornings or whatever form of lead gen you do. He said, if you're getting done what you need to get done before 12, you're going to have a great career. And I was like,
all the heavy lifting gets done before noon. It really, as much as other times a day may work better for you. Look, you know what? Anybody's got excuses. I used to run 4 miles before I did my door knocking. I have a great excuse not to do it. I'm pretty tired after that. So it's like, we can all create excuses, but get out there, walk before you run, do a little bit, start out small and build, and do the heavy lifting before noon. That's really, because it's when your day can be most clear.
or you could really try to shop your system and do 200 doors your first day, and then the next time go do 75. So
But then you'll quit.
no, because then you're like, oh, I only have to do 75 now.
We do a couple more questions.
What was your-
Then
Yeah.
I gotta head out.
Okay, someone has a hand up.
Okay.
It was just regarding the script, and then can you show a sample of the Bongard card?
Dave will have a copy of that.
Yeah, I have the scripts as well. I'll
Yeah.
send around it to everyone's name and just the connection. So I lived in Newmarket on that street where the door was, and this guy, Tom Mitchell, knocked on my door. Yeah, now living in Barrie. And we talked about it afterwards. He said, I knew I had that listed.
Okay, so here's an example of what I didn't do and how it was the way my system worked and the way I believed I wanted to operate. So Dave, I sold their house, I listed the house, I didn't negotiate his offer for him. And one of my team members, who happened to be my daughter, but that didn't matter. It could have been Joe Blow on my team, dealt with him to buy his house in Barrie.
Yeah.
Tom Mitchell didn't go sell him the house.
Right.
And you talk about feeling this one, quick money to go make and go sell another house because they sold their house. Okay, didn't lure me into it. 2, it was, a nice high priced house that was being bought. No, that's not what I do. It's more important for me to do these other things in my business.
What was your question?
Well, I was going to follow with Vincent. So when somebody looks at your card and they shake their head and they do this gesture to you, you take that card back, and if not, what do you say to make sure to keep that card so you get it back?
Well, I still obviously go through that script, but I know it's really not gonna go anywhere, but I say, Greg, just keep my card. If you need anything, if you have any questions down the road, feel free to reach out anytime. I want them to keep the card. You never know where it leads to.
Sometimes, like, I get that, and
I made
I'll,
all the way there. I walked all the way to that door to give them that card. I want them to keep that card.
and they will actually usually keep it. But another thing I'll say is, like, it's not necessarily about doing business with you. It's maybe you have a family member who needs help. Maybe you have a child who needs help leasing something. I'll be happy to help them too.
I gotta show you guys something funny. That's tied in with positioning. So I would always tell one of my new team members this, make sure you stand firm, but don't look intimidating. And I'm not 6'5" like Vincent, I'm only 6'1". So you get these people, very seldom that they slam the door in my face, but I'm going into my script and they want to gradually shut that door. Okay? They're trying to gradually close me out. And I'm still standing there and talking away to them. And they're responding back, but the door's gradually closing. And then the funny part is, so then I ask another question. The door opens a little bit more. The door is almost like this blockade to keep moving in and back a little bit, depending on how the conversation's going.
You'll
But
get
my
everything.
point is, don't get intimidated by that. Just stand there and keep asking your questions. And you make, at the end of the day, once you're done, the answer is no, on to the next. But don't just cut it short because they're trying to do that to you. Keep going with your questions, because along the way, something may click with them because of the questions you're asking, that they start to open up and get more comfortable. And all of a sudden that door goes from trying to shut it to casually, you're almost forcing them that you got to leave to go to your next door.
I've had conversations with people in their windows, like everywhere. Anything you can think of. I've had many men answer the door completely shirtless in their underwear. It's a weird experience. Oh yeah, and the Ring doorbells too. Ring those. If no one answers, ring those, because then they're on their phones. They get a message, hey, you're talking to the Ring doorbell. I do that too. Yeah.
I know, I saw you, I remember you were at. I was still on the creation. I feel like I'm straight. No.